When I'm traveling full-time, there's one resource that I hold in higher regard than everything else. It's my co-working space. It becomes the headquarters for my business, becomes the headquarters for like my life as far as from a social perspective. So let's dive into this. What exactly is co-working and why is it important? So what is a co-working space? Well, it's actually really simple. Whereas a normal office space works where you have one business that owns an entire building or maybe just an entire floor and has all their employees there. A co-working space is where you have a bunch of tiny companies, sometimes just one employee, who share a bunch of desk space. So this is really great when you're a small business or if you're traveling like I do long term and you just need one desk and you want to pull resources so it works out to be cheaper. I always use this as my base. So my apartment's where I sleep, but when I'm working and like things are mission critical where I have to have internet connection or I have to have phone service, I rely on a co-working space, so I make sure that it happens. The nice thing about these kind of places is that if the internet goes down, it's not just you whining about it. It turns out to be everybody who's working there, which works out really, really great. The second one is actually quite obvious. It's internet access. So the nice thing about pooling resources is that you can afford internet access that is a lot faster than what you could do if you were just trying to do it by yourself. So when you're going for a co-working space, one of the first things that I do is I open up speedtest.net and I check what the internet access is so that I know that this is going to be somewhere that's reliable and that I can run my business from. Number 3 is a little bit less obvious. It's locker space. So when I travel around, I have a bunch of valuables with me, and what I like to do is keep half of them at my apartment and half of them at my co-working space. This way, it cuts my risk in half. Either one, if I was going to run into a terrible situation where I get robbed, I would prefer that my valuables are split between 2 places. So I always look for a locker space, which sometimes comes with the fee. Sometimes it's a little bit extra. It's never been a big deal, but I always get an extra locker space so that I can split my risk that way. Number 4 is one of the more delicious things about a co-working space. Generally, they offer free food and free drinks. So sometimes it's just water and fruit. That's kind of boring. But when I lived in Barcelona, I was working at a co-working space called Mob, makers of Barcelona, which is totally awesome, by the way. And they were sponsored by the local beer company, so we had unlimited beer. So if you can figure that one out, or if you just happen to be in Barcelona, go for that option. Number 5 is a little bit less tangible than that. So it's workability. Is this somewhere you're going to be able to spend 8 hours a day if you have to? I've been to some co-working spaces that are just plain boring. Everything's white, it's all reflective, they play cheesy music. That's not what I'm looking for. I want to work at a co-working place that has cool things. I want to be inspired when I'm walking around. I want to laugh as I get up to go get my coffee or something because I see something funny. The workability of the space itself is very important. The 6th trait is one that I overlooked the first time that I did co-working. It's finding a co-working space that offers a quiet space. So this could either be a conference room or this could be like a soundproof booth. And this is super important when you're doing video calls or when you're doing voice calls. One, you don't want to disrupt everyone else in the room. And 2, sometimes conversations just need to be private. So when I look for a co-working space, now it's mandatory that I find somewhere that has a quiet room that I can do my work that ends up being either sensitive or private information. Okay, those are all the tips I have for finding the perfect co-working space. But you're not done yet. Just because you found the ideal space doesn't mean that you're going to be successful just yet. What you need to do is learn how to work successfully at a co-working space. So for just that reason, and because I hadn't thought of this beforehand, which was my bad, I've created a second video to talk about that and go through the top tips I have for succeeding at co-working. So if you're interested in that, just go ahead and click on the little video that'll appear here, assuming I can figure out how to do this in post-production. So there should be a picture of my little twin who lives in the corner of this box, who you should click on. I mean, I got plenty of time. I'm not really doing anything. It's really late where I am, so, just if you want to click there, that's cool. If not, we can just wait together. I mean, I'll just keep talking, I'm sure. I can put it on loop, figure that out. So yeah, I'll be right there. And if that's not it, feel free to just leave me some comments below and just tell me that I'm an idiot and I need to plan my videos better so that they turn into one video instead of 2. All right, thanks everyone.